Hey guys, it's Jennifer from the Shooter's Mindset. We are live with episode 366 of the Shooter's Mindset. I've got my co-host Greg Cannon here. How's it going?
Hey everyone.
And our guest of the hour is Todd Henderson of Henderson Precision. How's it going?
Very good. How you doing?
Doing well. I don't know how we haven't had you on the show before. I know we connected at SHOT Show, I think 2 years ago. I stopped by and did a little video with you, and then this year we saw you again, and I was like, why didn't we do a show? So
I appreciate it.
How to get you to talk about your cool stuff.
Right on.
So for anybody that's not familiar with you, go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into competition shooting and into the industry and your business. Tell us about it.
It started for us, and it was really for me and my partner, Jason Chipley. I guess I started, first back in the day in my area. I came from the hunting world, grew up hunting, fishing, and, was really a competitive guy. I was always looking for something to do in the shooting world competitively. And that's kind of when, I don't want to say USPSA and cowboy action was starting to get going, but in my area, cowboy action was big. And, funny to say, I almost started off in the cowboy action world. I started buying guns and lever actions and, because that's what we had. And it's cool, I was like, wow. And it came right down to, where I was like, I got to choose a name and I got to wear the clothes. And I was like, okay, I think I'm out. I don't know if I can do this.
And cowboy action is pretty cool. I got when I did Atlanta 3-gun, I went up there one day, the day before, to help set up the bays. And while we were there, they were shooting a SAS match, a single action. And those guys are amazing. Like we can do cool stuff with our long range rifles. Right. These guys are so fast with they're cocking and pulling the trigger at the same time. It's so fast. It's crazy. And it's a lot of, there's a lot of older people and a lot of younger people that do it. It's a very diverse group.
And the technology of the weapons, and that's where I get sucked into the gear. I love the gear and the guys, the modifications, the lever actions and I started getting sucked into the pistols. And again, I started buying this stuff and then it was weird. We had a local gun show and the local USPSA club had a booth. And I was like, USPSA, what's that? And they're like, well, let me tell you. And so, I got invited to my first match and, brought just what I had, kind of room with your bung, right? And man, it was awesome. It was like playing football with a firearm. I mean, just anything that we is energy like that, I'm drawn to. So I was fortunate enough. The best guy in the club at that time was named Carl Schmidt, and he is a USPSA instructor. He is he's the big dog, match director, range master, and he became my mentor. And so that's how it spawned. I actually, I invited him for coffee one day and I said, man, I don't know how I do this, but I want to do this. And he was like, okay, if you want to do this, I only do this one way. You got to be all in. And so, Carl, because he was, working, with the USPSA, he would travel around to all the local clubs. And so every weekend we were going somewhere. And so I was traveling, shooting matches, all over within, 3 or 4 hours of our area, as much as my wife would let me. And we were shooting a lot. And so that's kind of how, I kind of got into the shooting world. Of course, that transposed into the 3-gun world. And, it was again, okay, something more gear, more guns, more running, doing more, crazy stuff. And that's it. And 3-gun became big. And I think we may have maybe connected 3-gun at one point in time. And I shot 3-gun for a long time. And, 3-gun kind of evolved, and that's where Jason and I, my partner, picked up, is that we kind of connected on the 3-gun side. He was kind of doing the pistol thing. And then he's like, I was doing the 3-gun thing, and I'd come back from maybe my second Ironman. And, if you shot Ironman, it's one of my favorite matches ever. Travis did a great job. And of course I came back, I'm all pumped, and I'm getting him all pumped up. And that's kind of how it started. And so we went from the pistol to the 3-gun. And the best part about 3-gun was the long range rifle. And of course, in three gun, I mean, long range is what, 400 yards with a 12-inch plate, right? I mean, in the precision rifle world, that looks like a piece of plywood to us. That'd be 12 inches at 400 yards. That'd be amazing. Like meatball target, right? Yeah, I mean, but it was cool. I mean, that's all we had. And so we somehow got connected. We started kind of branching out, and PRS started getting bigger. And there was a match up in Bend, Oregon. A club up there did a great job. And so we went up there, and it was our first PRS match. And, we brought what we thought, I start, any discipline, right? You think like, yeah, I got this, and it was a 3-gun, it was a precision rifle match, but it had pistol. And so we were, and so we brought our gear up there, and we built rifles, and, of course, what we thought we needed. And we get up there, and it was like, man, it was like 40 or 50 or 70 guys, a pretty good match. They did a great job. And Jason ended up coming in third, and I ended up coming in seventh. And so, of course,
Good.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, I got this. Like, precision rifle, like this is no big. And it was funny because, you're like, oh, okay. And then, we came back to our local, we have a sister club down in Sacramento. They're just an awesome club. They do a great job. They are a very well-oiled machine down there. And we went and shot like our second match, if you want to call it a club level, and we just got crushed. I mean, it was like, I walked away from there going, oh my gosh, dude, like seriously, did this just happen? I mean, it was like, I thought we were like, and we sorely learned that where we were actually how good we were, and what we needed to know. And so that kind of started the whole evolution of the PRS side. We worked with a lot of people down there, the welcome with open arms, and started to learn and really realize, it's kind of like 3-gun where, where pistol when we started, where it was like, okay, you got to start here. And, we were thinking, oh, we got this. And I was like, nope, we're right here again. And we just kind of built back up and where it's today. Now, that kind of spawned the evolution of the trimmer. So, and where we're going. But, Jason and I we are pretty big competitors. We still are. Of course, we backed off in the last year because Henderson has gotten bigger, making more product and trying to keep up with demand. We've also made some changes in the evolution of the product. So that is, it's taken up a bit more time. And as traveling is always tough. So I think we're trying to do stuff more local as well. So, and we've got some great local clubs around here to shoot. And we've kind of branched back out in the 3-gun and the pistol world. So all the above.
Yeah, travel eats up a good bit of money.
It does. It does. I never thought going through an airport with 3-gun gear, because I've been all over the country shooting 3-gun, and you start doing that and you realize it's like, wow, it eats up money pretty fast. So no doubt. Rental car, it adds up quick.
It really, really does. So you kind of alluded that that's how it got started. Did y'all just were y'all like sitting around one day like, hey, let's start Henderson Precision? Like, prompted it.
Yeah, so Jason, we needed a better mousetrap. We were shooting so much, and that's back when we loaded all the 223. We didn't buy, even when it was a 55 grain in your face to, 69 and 77. We loaded all that. And it was really to save money. And so we needed a better mousetrap when it came to trim and brass. I've used, probably like most guys out there, every trimmer on the market. I mean, the RCBS, the Lyman's, the little possum, every evolution of what guys have done. And there's some great stuff out there. And, Jason one day kind of came up, and one thing about Jason is that there isn't, we like to joke, with enough money and time, there isn't anything he can't build. He is truly a genius. I mean, stuff just rattles out of his brain, and he's like, bam, what do you think about this? And he literally built this trimmer, the original trimmer, in his garage. And he's like, it was like, I came over and I was like, dude, I got to have one of those. Like, where's mine? Did you build a buddy trimmer? And that really evolved fairly quickly into, so Jason likes selling stuff. I like selling stuff. And when I say selling stuff, I'm really big into customer engagement. I love talking to people. And so I came to him and said, dude, we can do something with this. I think this has got some legs on it. Like, I think other people are going to think this is amazing. And he's like, well, if you think, and I was like, and we just kind of culminated this energy, and that's where Henderson Precision started. That's kind of what spawned the whole thing. And that's where the Gen 1, there's a fair amount of people out there that have our original Gen 1 trimmer, which I wish I had a demo to, guys could see, but that's kind of how we got started. And that's where the partnership kind of got started. We were shooting matches, and the trimmer really was more not so much of a business. It was more about paying for our hobby. It was like, hey, dude, I think we can sell trimmers to pay for stuff, for match fees and ammunition, and that's kind of where it started. I think we were stoked when we were selling like 4 trimmers a week. It was like, oh, this is cool. We were demoing those at matches. We were showing them off at I've been gun shows, and that was really the very, very beginning of the first gen. So that's kind of how we got started. And it's just exploded to where it is today. So the old saying of, hey, this started in my garage, and it started in my garage and Jason's garage, and then we rebuilt Jason's horse barn that was our original shop, and so we've got a really nice shop. He's got a really nice horse barn now. That's a shop. I mean, it's cool. I mean, we powered it up, and I mean, we've got CNC and running and assembly rooms, and that's where we've been for multiple years now. And we talk about it, but we're moving into a bigger shop as we speak. So, but that's how we got started.
That's awesome. I love to see something that started out as I'm going to make my life easier, and then all of a sudden it's a full-on company. Like those Absolutely. Are always the greatest stories. Like.
Absolutely. And that's totally where this stemmed from. It stemmed from a better mousetrap. I mean, it was, if people go, no, I was like, no, seriously, it was just about us in the beginning. It was just about, and there was this coveted group of people where you're like, here's your trimmer, like, can I get one of those? And, people like, would get one, and it was like, I got one. And because Jason only made so many, and it was so, you were like, I mean, I got my first one, like, whoa, but anyway. So, but yeah, I mean, in the early days, and even now, I think that's what energizes us is building cool stuff. Jason likes to say, we don't build anything that doesn't fix a problem. That's really our goal. Mm-hmm. We don't build something just to build something to say, hey, we make this or we make that. It's really about fixing a problem, and that's where the Gen 1 originally came from.
I mean, you guys don't have your own AR lowers?
What's that? Yeah, right. Hey, there's a lot of cool AR. That's not a market that that actually. I guess we were passionate about that. I think that's the other piece, is we got to be passionate, fired up about it. That there are a lot of lowers out there, but that's just one thing that that drives us is again the better mousetrap. What we can do to solve a problem. So
yeah, that's one of the ones that just gets me. It's like, how many people can make the same exact thing? And there's some companies that like I'm an Arrow fanboy, and
sure.
Like, they have some really cool things, and something that's the same price that has features that other ones don't. But like, dude, everybody, it's like somewhere there's a file online, people download it, hit like, okay, CNC this, but make it say Bob's gun shop here, not Dan's gun shop.
Right. We say that though, and I think the Ingenuity. I mean, when you look at let's use a magazine base pad, right, for a USB-A pistol. And you think back in the day when, let's say when Dawson was making base pads, or he's making base pads, right? And Dawson was kind of the gold standard, right? Aaron Dondo made some really cool plastic ones, and they were kind of the gold standard for the Glock guys. And then you're thinking, oh, well, kind of your point about the AR lower. He's like, who can make another base pad? And then, here Taran comes out with a Taran base pad, right? And you're like, bam, new base pad. And all of a sudden the base pad is like reinvented. And it's like, everybody's got to have a Taran. So, I don't know. I think I think there's always a better mousetrap and a better way of doing it. But I think the Ingenuity, I never want to, I love that people are always thinking, I guess. Mm. So, something cool.
Yeah, that's probably my favorite thing about, the sport is you see people doing that. And then also like being able to do this and talk to the people that have done this stuff. It is so much fun. Just like, yeah, I just wanted to trim brass faster. So I came up with this amazing freaking thing. So let's talk about this amazing thing. And this, sure. You guys just released, you're on the generation 3 of the case trimmer now.
We are. So Jason came up with the Gen 1, and again, Jason does all our design. We get together and decide what we like and what we don't like about it, both from usage and customer input. But the Gen 1, and I guess we'll start from the beginning. The Gen 1 was a design that that headspace off the shoulder. And it was a great idea, but we had to build a CNC call adapter for every case. Mm-hmm. And so we started looking into that, going, well, how can we, how can we make this, easier? Because, we're going to have to build an adapter for every cartridge out there. And we had a lot of people, we sell a lot of trimmers outside the US. A lot of people don't know that. It's crazy. Germany, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, the UK have all come on very strong. And those guys were asking for caliber options that we just didn't have. And so that's where really the Gen 2 came from, which is the collet design that you see into the Gen 3. And the Gen 2, we've had a great partnership with Forester, utilizing the Forester cutter head, utilizing the Forester collets and the pilots. And, and that's kind of where we went from that, and which spawned the Gen 3. And the Gen 3 is really, we used our own cutter body, still using the Forester pilots, still using the Forester collet. And the reason we did that on the Gen 3, or we changed the design of the head itself, or the way we attach the head, is that we wanted to offer calibers that Forester wasn't looking to offer. And that was really our culmination. The Forester cutters were great, but we were like, hey, we got guys asking for stuff, all over the map. And so we were like, God, if we're gonna have to change the caliber, let's build it the way we want to build it. Let's build the cutter head. And that's where the Gen 3 taper lock design came from. Jason, he put that together, and it was like, dude, what do you think about this? And I'm like, dude, that is wholesome. And that spanned into, we built a taper, the shaft of the female taper, the cutter is a male taper. We can, it allows us for a better concentricity. We're making both parts, but we were looking to take that into multiple calibers, as well as guys that wanted to do outside neck turning, inside neck reaming. Now, I got to be careful when I say that, because every time I say outside neck turning, I'll get all kinds of emails tomorrow going, hey, I heard you said outside neck reaming. It is something that we are definitely looking into and we're working on, but we just haven't, we haven't built a prototype yet, and that's where we're going. But it is something that's on the drawing board for us. But the Gen 3, so the Gen 3, and what you see today is a culmination of both user input and our own experience. We take a lot of input from guys that have obviously used the machine. And I think you could probably attest this. One thing that we get, or guys like yourself, that use it and call me literally daily, guys go, hey, what do you think about this? Or send me an email. What do you think about that? And if we get enough of that input, we'll start to make changes in the current unit. One of the changes I think you would notice is that the handle. So that handle in the Gen 3, when we built that, was I think we built probably 6 or 7 prototypes, and to get the right diameter, to get the right feel, the right length. And so we finally got a body we liked, and then we knurled it. And guys, we're like, hey, this is cool. It looks awesome, but it's rough on my hands. And so we went from a knurling to a fluted. Then we went from, and guys said, yeah, this is cool. We like the fluted better, but it's still kind of rough. So Jason changed it up and we fluted it even more. And so we're on our third design on the Gen 3 of the actual handle. But the Gen 3 is, like I said, a culmination of both things that you can see and things that you can't see. We press the rods in now. Those rods are, they are literally pressed in. The rods are machine and precision ground within 3/10 of size. We are even looking at changing that process moving forward. The carriages, the way they're built and the way they're actually machined are built for better tolerances, for better machining to hold tolerances. And so those are things, that culmination that we have changed. Like I said, guys, and guys ask, well, does it work the same? Absolutely. You probably wouldn't notice a difference unless I told you, but we are constantly looking to try and build it better. And I'm not the machinist. Jason's a machinist, and I've learned I can talk the talk, but when it comes down to the programming and setting the machine, that's something that Jason does. But I throw around tenths, which is funny, like it's no big deal. And and Jason's like, seriously, dude, like, you want to improve this by 3 or 4 tenths? And I'm like, yeah, can we do that? And he's like, seriously, you know how small a tenth is? And anyway, so those are, but 3. It is a culmination of just customer feedback. That's where we're at, and we are expanding that right now with multiple caliber options, and other like things like outside neck turning, inside neck reaming, again, which I say that lightly, but it is something we're looking at here down the road.
That is awesome. So yeah, you can definitely see, for instance, your handle, if that's the same handle that we played with at SHOT Show, like, I feel like I could just sit there at the bench all day and just trim brass nonstop.
That is their newest handle. Absolutely. Yep. And that's what we want. You know, again, I mean, literally guys will call me and I'm horrible because I love talking to people. So I get stuck on a conversation, on a debate throughout the day. And I'm like, pretty soon, 25 minutes has gone by and I'm like, dude, I got to go build trimmers. Like I gotta adjust cutter heads and guys are, and then I get stuck on the next conversation and it's horrible, but I love talking to people. So, and again, there's so many people out there doing things so differently. We all kind of live in our own little box and go, in the reloading world. Right. And guys are doing, they've got their way of doing it that they've learned from their guy. And you're like, well, that's interesting. I've never heard of that, but it's crazy. I mean, the reloading world, there's a lot of options out there. But I get to talk to guys, I love it too. We get to talk to guys all over the world. We sell quite a few units. I probably have, 40 or 50 units in Germany. I mean, we've sold over the years and, the Germans call me and you're thinking, dude, you guys sell trimmers to Germany? Like Germans. I mean, they're buying your trimmer and you're like, yeah, like that's crazy. And I'm like, what they'll do is they'll take one of our trimmers, they'll take it back to their shop, they'll buy a non-motorized model, they'll take it back to their shop and they will do this elaborate, I mean, it looks, I guess I can't even explain it. I mean, they send me these pictures and they've created these motor boxes and motors and powder coat. And I mean, it's like, and then of course there's a trimmer in the front and they're like, what do you think? And I'm like, dude, that's completely overbuilt, but it's awesome. I mean, that's amazing.
I spent $1,000 on the motor.
Yeah, absolutely. And and it's crazy. They do that now and it's just funny. But so we love to see that. I think guys doing different things, and again, it really pushes us forward to do to take it to the next level. One thing that we're doing right now is a caliber expansion. We're adding 17. We're adding 20 cal. We are adding 32, 35, 41, 44, 45. We're taking up to 375, and we are having an option for a 375 Chi-Tac. And so that is probably the number one. Well, the number one question is, can you do 20 cal? The number two question is, can you do 375 Chi-Tac? And so those are the two requests that I get daily, it seems like. And so 375 Chi-Tac is coming. We haven't built the cutter heads, but they are designed. It will include, or need to include, an additional carriage that'll be offset because the whole collet holder is bigger. It's a bigger collet, it's a bigger adapter. So, but that is on the way. And I say that because people go, no, really? I'm going, no, really, because we have two 375 Chi-Tacs that Jason has built, so we got to have them. So, but they're on the way. So, but we are pistol calibers are coming. That's another option that guys are asking for. I guess the thing that you learn, and you can probably test this, is that we get stuck in our own world. I mean, we shoot 3-gun, we shoot a little bit of bench rest, we shoot USPSA pistol, we shoot PRS, we shoot mid-LER, those are what Jason and I do, and that's what we know. But you start to realize, guys are going, hey, I need a 32 caliber for my lever action that we shoot, this lever action silhouette. I'm like, guys really do that? They're like, no, it's a thing. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I guess we need to talk about 32 caliber, we're starting to realize what's really out there and what guys are doing is kind of crazy.
Yeah, I was wondering what was that. Real quick, we got a live from Richard Luna. He wants to know, well, first he said that you guys definitely do a good job of taking care of your customers. You guys got him hooked up with a motor upgrade, and he's been a user for 4 years, started with the base model and kept adding. And he also asked, can we upgrade the Gen 2 to the Gen 3?
Yes, you can. So I have guys. Question is, unless you want to utilize the more caliber option, it won't be any different than what you currently have. Like, hey, if you love, if you're saying, hey, I have a 6.5 right now and I want to upgrade to Gen 3 and still cut 6.5, I would say don't do that. I mean, you're not going to really notice a difference because the Gen 2 with a forcer cutter is great. But we have guys who are saying, hey, I want those other caliber options. And I just would say guys who just want the newest stuff. Guys, so you can. That will include a shaft change. And of course, you'd have to buy additional cutter heads and the taper lock design. And we do the shaft change for free, but we do charge for the shaft. The actual labor and stuff is free. We take care of all that. You ship it to me, I ship it back. But so it would just be the cost of the shaft and the cutter heads. But yes, we can do that totally.
That's awesome. It's always nice when there's some companies that are just like, oh, yep, here's a new model, enjoy it. But then there's some companies out there that are always kind of willing to, it's kind of a sign that you care about the people that have already spent their money with you. Absolutely. When you take the time to say, hey, you already spent all this money with us, but we know you want the latest and greatest. So, we can do these couple things that'll go over and help you out. And that's just a cool sign that you truly care about your customers and your audience.
Well, we're shooters, and we realized that it was tough for us to we make that change from the Gen 2 to the Gen 3 and realize that guys were, we had to make that break at some point. But moving forward, guys ask that question, they go, well, is there a Gen 4? Well, there probably will be a Gen 4, but the cutter heads and all that will be the same from now to eternity. There won't be any more changes in that arena. The Gen 4, I don't know what a Gen 4 is, but that it won't change. And so I do have guys asking me that all the time. They're like, well, if I buy Gen 3, what's the Gen 4 look like? And I'm like, well, it looks just like the Gen 3, but it may do X. So, but rest assured, everything that we try and build is retrofittable. And we have lots of guys that start out with a non-motorized model, because that's what they can afford. And I get it, and 6 months go by, they call me and they add a motor. It's the same price for the add a motor now, or you do it in the beginning. It's the same deal. We build it, it's super easy. I mean, you can add a motor kit in probably 10 minutes, so we try and keep that as simple as possible. But we realize that. And again, the customer piece to us is a big piece. I mean, we want guys to be happy with our unit. Guys ask me all the time. I mean, I get guys. Now, you guys are what, about 3 hours ahead of me, I think? Yeah, which is, so I think I got a call this morning at 5:30 from South Carolina or something. I mean, I was like, but I took the call, and I know guys, it is what it is. I mean, we want to take care of guys. I get guys that call me on Sunday, and again, they can call me anytime. The number that's on our website is my personal number. If guys got a question, if they got a problem at our unit, we'll take care of them. And a lot of times it's just simple stuff, and guys aren't always expecting me to answer the phone. I think a lot of times like, oh, you picked up, like I wasn't really ready to talk to somebody. I'm like, no, really, what do you got? And they're like, what bother you? And I'm like, no, really, like, what is it? What can I help you with? And so, a lot of guys are, they're loading right before match, or they're going on a hunting trip and something broke, or they, when they don't have the motorized model. I used to get the, guys will use it and they'll put it away and they'll forget what's rotation. Is it counterclockwise? Is it clockwise? And they'll go, man, I'm trimming brass and it's flaring the case. And I'm like, is it counterclockwise? And you hear this pause, and you're like, and it's like, no problem, no big, like we take care of it, want to get guys up and running. So yeah, I welcome that all the time. Guys like, hey, you can't bother me, just give me a call. Absolutely.
So here's a design improvement. I'll give this one to you for free. Okay. Laser an arrow in someplace.
Absolutely. We thought about that.
See it in there or something?
Yeah, no, that's a great one. We could easily laser that, or we could laser that on, right? And we thought about that. Now that becomes less of an issue as as the motor has become more. We sell motorized and non-motorized probably 10 to 1. But you're right. That is something that we should definitely do. Simple, right? Simple, like boom, do that. Yeah, for sure.
A lot of the machines that I build or design or have taken over maintaining at work, like I got a really expensive little label maker, and the amount of little labels that I've put on that my third shift maintenance crews are like, I'm so glad you put that label on there. It's right. Just a little thing that helps.
We've talked about that a few times. It's funny we haven't done it, but you're right, 100%. That's awesome.
So we were talking about how easy it is to add the motor, add this, add that, all these different caliber options. And so one thing that kind of draws me to your trimmer versus a lot of the other ones, and I want to make sure I understand this correctly. If I buy the collet that'll hold a 308 case, and I buy a 6mm trimmer head, I just got to turn a couple of screws and I could go from my 6 gauge Tiger to a 6 Creedmoor to a 6 Dasher to a 6 BR to a 6 BRA to a 6 Comet to a 6 Cupid to a 6 whatever.
Well, so here's the thing. You've got one screw really in that aspect, because once you've got, and this is a great question, a lot of guys ask this because they are the cutter heads are caliber specific. So once you have a cutter head in that caliber, you're going to cut everything in that caliber. So to your point, 6mm, you're done forever. As long as you have a collet to hold the case that you're going to cut, you're good to go. So the only adjustment screw at that point that you need to adjust is your overall length screw. So you would literally have one for your GT, one for your 6 Creedmoor, and so on. And so you change that screw and that is set from the last time you cut. You'll change that screw, and you're now cutting from 6 GT to 6 Creedmoor. It's that simple. So that changeover is very, very quick. Now, when you go from say 6 to 6.5, and you're going to go to a 6.5 Creedmoor, the only adjustment at that point is that the collet is still the same. The adjustment screw you're going to grab, off your shelf from the last time you adjusted it. You've labeled it, right? And you're going to screw that in because that's your length setting. And now all you do is one screw in the back, take your cutter head out, put your another cutter head back in, and now you're cutting where you left off, say within a half a thou of the last time, if not zero. So changeover between caliber to caliber is very quick. I think we get a lot of compliments on that, and when guys actually, we have this conversation on the phone and they actually get one and they're like, oh my gosh, like it's even simpler than I thought it would be. And it's like, no, it's simple. We've Jason has engineered that simplicity into the unit. And that is, and I'm always beating him up on the other side going, hey, can we make it simpler? Can we make it so, that it's not, and he's looking at me going like, seriously, dude? And I'm like, no, really? Because I get all the questions, I get the feedback, so I can take that in. But we've constantly thinking about that from the end user side. That is something that, Jason, we use the KISS principle, keep it simple, stupid. It is kind of where where the design has come from. That's where the evolution of the trimmers come from. And that's where we continue to design products, and we've got to use it. There isn't anything in Henderson that, makes it to say the website or that anybody ever sees unless we put it through its paces first. And we're pretty particular. I drive Jason super crazy when it comes to that stuff because I take it to another level. And, he's like, dude, the thing's solid. I'm like, no, what if we were to change this? And I think that's what, that's really what the culmination of that is put us where we are today. So, again, but we're always thinking of big guys going, how would this guy do it? And again, guys think about stuff. I walk through guys just taking the cutter head off on a daily basis, and we give directions and all that, but, and because it's different, they've never done it before. So, but it's a simple process.
Yeah, that's really awesome. With the process for the trimmer that I'm currently using, I have to get the rifle chambered, then find brass, load. I have to shoot 3 rounds through it. Then I have to order the dies. The dies have to come in. I have to full length size the 3 rounds. I have to send them across the country. And then I have to wait like a year for somebody to custom machine the freaking die for the never again.
Right. There's a lot of, guys ask me this all the time. There's a lot of good systems out there. There's a lot of great trimmers out there. Ours just does things a little different. And, it really comes down to either the way people look at, the design and the way they want to work it, or a lot of times it comes down to cost. And we get that. And so, guys are like, hey, I've trimmed on an RCBS or I've trimmed on a lineman. And it's like, hey, in their own right, those are great trimmers. It is what it is. When you step up, to where we're at, we put a little more into it. And again, if you like it, if it works for you, so be it. But we're constantly, understanding that with guys that, we were kind of that end gap where, I think the biggest compliment we get is that, guys will call me and go, man, why did I wait so long? And that's awesome. I mean, that's really, that's a testament to Jason Design. That's a testament to the evolution of what we built. And, to the item we provide. So, funny, I could show you, if we were in the shop right now, I could show you a whole box of parts and you'd be like, dude, what's with all the parts? Like, is that like bad machining? And all the parts in the box meet tolerance, every single one of them, but they don't either meet my specification or Jason. I mean, I assemble every trimmer by hand. So I literally were like, no, I don't like this, this is not going to work for me. It doesn't feel right. And again, that does drive Jason crazy because I'm about feel and he's a number guy. He's like, dude, 2 and 2 is always 4. And I'm like, no, dude, 2 and 2 could be 3, just didn't feel right to me. So he just, that drives him absolutely insane because I'm always trying to explain feel to him and he's always trying to explain numbers to me. And so we're always back and forth. Quantitate that for me, give me quantitate that for me. Show me on the caliper. And I'm like, dude, you got to just feel it. And he's like, I don't feel anything different. And so we're always, anyway, it's always funny, but we got a whole box of parts in the shop that, like I said, that didn't meet, either one of our specifications. Because I want, when you get the trimmer and you pull it out of the box, I don't want it to be, I use the term bitching, and maybe I shouldn't say that, but it's got to be bitching. And guys are like, if it isn't bitching, you call me, and we'll make it bitching. If not, we take it back. And I have never, I don't think to this day have gotten a trimmer back. So that's awesome. And that's just, that makes me happy, I guess. The guys are out there and they like them. So, you know, that's
I
where we're at.
wish that I wish you could show video of the trimmer, because I mean, I'm like, okay, trimmers, whatever. But like at SHOT Show, I loved y'all's trimmer because I got to put my hands on it and play with it.
Right.
And it is so easy to use. Like, as far as a lot of the trimmers that I have, like you have to hold the brass with your hand as it's trimming, and it's like turning it, you know, my hand's black when I'm done, and you know, I can't hold it sometimes. Some of them slip, especially if I didn't get all the lube off or something. You know, it just, you know, they're difficult. And your trimmer was so easy to use. Like, I swear a 5-year-old could do it.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say something similar. You know, I've seen your trimmers online. They look really cool online. I see videos online. I'm like, that's real freaking cool. But getting to touch it, like, it went from like, that's a pretty cool trimmer to
take my money.
Take my money. This is 10 times what it looks like online, just because of exactly what you were saying. The feel when you get your hands on it and you're like, oh, this is all it takes to lock a case in place. This is all it takes to trim a piece of brass.
It's very easy and it's fast.
Mm-hmm.
It is fast. You know, it is fast. You know, guys, and just to your point, people don't realize that until they actually get their hands on it, right? You know, they have watched the videos, and there's some great videos, and some people have done some fabulous videos, better than we could have done. And, you know, but people see it in like a shot, you know, to your point, guys will walk up and they've tried it. And I swear, I mean, let's put the hooks in, right? I mean, it's like, you know, people are like, oh my gosh, like this thing is way cooler than I thought it was. And that's, again, that's attested to the design. I mean, that's attested to the energy that goes into it. But that makes us happy. I mean, you know, when the guy can come up and you show him one thing, I think we get beat up, and I'm just going to say it because we get beat up on this all the time. The only thing that we don't make on that trimmer is the adjustment screw. And I get it. It's not sexy. It's not. It's a cap head screw, 5/16 with a nylock on it. And the guys will, I mean, I just got an email the other day going, man, I just got your trimmer. This thing is amazing. I've trimmed 500 pieces of brass. But he goes, listen, the cap head screw, like what's the deal? I mean, and we get that. And really that came, you know, that cap head screw is such a simple design, and it kind of meets that KISS principle. And, you know, once guy, you know, they play with it, you explain it a little bit, a lot of times, you know, but still guys are, you know, asking more. But, you know, and at some point we may give, guys are asking for like my micrometer stop, and we'll probably provide one. But it is, you know, it's not probably the number one question that we get, you know, with guys that are first getting the trimmer. They go, man, this thing's amazing. What's with the screw? I mean, we get that all the time. So, but the fact that it's simple, I mean, again, the fact that you think it's simple and you got a chance, that's awesome. That's what we're after.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and let people see this trimmer.
I really think you have to see it. I mean,
well, yeah. Oh, hold on. Why is Zoom? Hold on. New computer. Who dis? Is that the right password? I have to enter my password for me to hit share screen for some reason. Oop, that's wrong.
Is this like a video that you got?
Yeah, this is the video that we posted yesterday.
Okay. Oh gosh, I haven't even seen this yet. I hope it's okay.
well, it's on the interwebs now. Too late.
Oh, let's see if this works.
Hey guys, it's Jennifer from the Shooter's Mindset. We are here at SHOT Show 2022. I'm here in the Henderson Precision booth with Todd. How you doing, Todd?
Good, doing well.
What do y'all have new to show us?
Guys, we brought our Gen 3 case trimmer. That's actually our improved Gen 2 case trimmer. We use our new motor, our all new aluminum bell housing. We also have our new taper lock cutter. We carry in sizes from 17 all the way up to 375 Chi-Tech, which is coming soon. I'll show you the basic operation of our cutter here. To operate the actual trimmer, we use a collet to hold the case. We'll turn the machine on, put the case in the cutter, run it forward.
Look how easy that is. Isn't that stupid how easy?
You're going to see an average length from case to case of less than half a thou. You're going to see ID, OD, chamfer, and overall length. We also brought to SHOT Show this year our new.
All right, we can go to that later. But that kind of shows, and he was going slow there. Like,
yeah, afterwards he like did numerous ones and then he let me do it. I played with it. And I mean, within 10 seconds, I was just like knocking them out. It was fast.
it's you're going to go slow on your first one, and by probably your third case, you're going to be flying.
But I like you back it, like you trim it, and then when you back it out, you just twist and the case falls out and you just can put the next one in and go with it. So you're not having to like take one out, put one in, it just automatically drops. It's just, I love it.
We, the call design, we have a lot of clip trimmers out there that don't have the dexterity in their hands where they can't physically hold a case. They're just at that point anymore where they just can't hold the case. I think that's where we see a lot of new customers on that realm. They see the call it, we've made the call it cool, we've made it fast, and really the call it is a great way to hold the case. It's a true overall length. You can X size, you can full length size. That it leads, but the call it itself and the way it works with a lot of people. We do get some. I'm trying to think on the handle. Like I said, we've gotten some praise on the handle recently. Guys are pretty happy with it. But I think we are looking at even down the road changing it up a little bit differently. So we've got some things that may be incorporated if we come out with a Gen 4. So we'll have to see what that looks like.
Yeah, and with things like what fits your hand, like you're never gonna get the perfect handle for everybody.
Right.
Because I guarantee you right now, all three of our hands are vastly different in size, shape, strength, dexterity, everything like that. But I think that you have an awesome design. It's a good size. It's grippy. So even if your hands are sweating, you're going to get grip. You can make it, you could polish it smooth as a baby's butt so that you don't wear on, soft princess hands or anything like that. But then if you start sweating a little bit, you're not going to be able to grip it.
Right. And that's, again, we made some, in the original design that had O-rings on them, and, we tried all kinds of stuff, but I think where we're at today is, again, the culmination of both user feedback and our own experience. And I think that shape, that the length, I mean, again, you're right. It's hard because, the way people grip that, to your point, that the handle, I grip it different than Jason does. So, the way he looks at it is slightly different the way I look at it. Mm-hmm. But, again, there's a lot of options out there for sure. A lot of that help people look at it differently.
Yep. So we're about at the midpoint of the show. So I just wanted to remind you guys, there's lots of ways for you guys to enjoy the show. Obviously, we're here live on the Shooter's Mindset Facebook page most Tuesday evenings at 9 p.m. Eastern. So make sure you follow us on Facebook and turn on the live notifications. Then your phone will just buzz and remind you that it's Tuesday evening and you're supposed to be here hanging out with me and Jennifer, because there's nothing you'd rather do on a Tuesday evening. Normally Wednesdays is when I'll go around to getting the podcast posted up. So we're on all your different podcast apps, your Spotify, your Facebook, your Apple, your Google, all those different podcast platforms. And then eventually we end up on YouTube as well. So if you're looking for older episodes, we're on episode 366 now. There's probably 362 are up there to check out. Yeah. So on to our next topic, and let's do this backwards this time. I'm going to show the video from SHOT Show of your new HPR. That's really cool. You always hear people, they're like, oh, hybrid chassis, and you're like, no, that's a stock, or that's a chassis. This looks like you cut a stock in half and you cut a chassis in half, and you use some real good JB weld in the middle. Not joking about the JB weld, but
this is something not everybody's seen yet. We're just getting it out in the world. This is actually a Macmillan Z1 that they make for us in an ambi. We actually inlet it and then bond our full aluminum chassis inside of it. Right now we have a Remington 700 pattern, soon to be Tikka, long action. The front ends are mission specific, M-lock. We also have a full bedded Arca rail on the bottom, night vision mount for up front, and for the PRS guys, we have a drop-in weight kit. So internal weights that is movable, so you can slide it with the barrel action in. It actually bolts to the bottom. If you want to add more M-lock weights to the outer, you can do that as well. So awesome.
All the weight.
Yeah, exactly. All the weight for sure. So,
all right. So first off, I don't think any of us have actually conversed about this since we've shot that video. Did somebody throw something at us in the middle of shooting that?
I didn't see anything. Did you see something?
So I don't think you saw it. Something came and you can't see where I'm pointing on the screen. Something came flying into screen, and Jen looked back behind me like, and I noticed it when I was editing, but it was like 1 a.m. when I was editing this video.
Yeah, slow-mo. I haven't seen it.
I don't remember. The only thing I remember about the SHOT Show videos is when I was doing the video at Arrow and a robot dog walked by, and I was like, I couldn't keep a straight face. That was too weird. I was like, I'm sorry, I'm very distracted. There's a robot dog that just walked by. I can't concentrate on the video now.
That was funny. All right, so this is super cool. What made you think that you wanted to build this? Like, what was the problem you were solving with this?
So, well, the problem is, we're stock guys. We've always been stock guys. We've always been big fan of McMillan. We've always run McMillan stocks. I mean, that was my first custom, stock. I mean, I've always been a McMillan guy. It was always when I wanted a stock, it was McMillan. And so but we're stock guys, then when the chassis started coming in, the way we look at chassis are cool in their own right, but the best part of a chassis, in our opinion, is from the front forward, because you can do things with it, right? Add weights, flashlights, lasers. I mean, you can do all kinds of options. You can make it however you want. That stock, we could have an F-class version. We could have an ultralight hunting version. We can do so much in aluminum. The backside of a chassis, the way we look at that is everything on the backside of a chassis wants to hurt you. Lots of sharp edges, places to catch your clothing, lots of wheels and adjustments. And so, I was never comfortable with a chassis. It's just the personal thing. I mean, chassis are hugely popular. So we got together, Jason's like, well, what if we combine both? What if he's like, I got this idea. And again, coming out of his brain, I got this idea that we mesh these two together. And I'm like, okay, well, what does that look like? And, he started kind of drawing it up and going, well, what do you think? And I'm like, wow, this is pretty cool. But we didn't have necessarily a platform to build it into. We were looking at the like a McMillan A3, we were looking at different things they had, but it just wasn't quite the fit. And then McMillan came out with the Z series, or the Z1. And the Z1, now the U1, I believe, which is the U stands for universal, right? It's the one chassis they get where it takes any barrel inlet, they'll take any Remington 700, you drop it in, you go, you have very limited color options. And I think I'm not sure where they're at today, but at the time you could order certain colors. And basically they were kind of a ready stock. It was basically a chassis stock. I think one thing that guys like chassis so much is that there's no bedding, right? You can block, you can take this action and lock it in. You don't have to buy another stock. You don't have to chip out the bedding. And anyway, when McMillan came out with a U1 or Z1, we were like, oh my gosh, that is the perfect platform for idea. And we had worked with McMillan a little bit. We built some stuff for them, and we had a relationship. And we were talking to them, and we started talking about what we could do and what they had available. And so what you see is actually a ambidextrous version of the U1 that they don't even produce. They said, hey, we have and we had we had been running a prototype stocks that we cut. They're prototype Z1s, or not, well, the prototypes us, but they were Z1s. We cut them up, we inletted them, we bonded all our stuff in, and we had been running them to kind of proof of concept. And they came back to us and said, well, we have this universal like ambi version. Are you guys interested? That we're not going to make right now. And we're like, that would be awesome. Can you send it? Can you build some for us and send it to us? And that's what kind of spawned the whole, it was a perfect culmination of what we were looking for. They were willing to work with us on multiple levels, to produce something for us, which I got to give them credit. I mean, they're awesome to work with and continue to be awesome to work with. And, that's where, what you see today. And those are the stocks that you see at the show. So that is an ambi version of the U1 that most people would never see. And we have switched back to, they actually inlet that for us now. So because what we were doing is they would send it to us, we would cut them off, we would inlet them, we would send it back to them, they would paint them, and then they would send it back to us. And so we had this crazy okay, we're doing this wrong. And so we're like, can you guys inlet? you know, we can inlet, but can you guys inlet? And they're like, yeah, we can totally do that. And so we work through that, and they cut them off, they inlet them, and then they send them to us fully painted, and we bond in our stuff. And that bonding process, you know, is you know, it's bomb proof. I mean, you know, McMillan said, you know, we're like, hey, you guys interested in the stock? And they're like, well, we want to see one. And you know, we were super impressed. You know, we were super proud of it. We were super proud of using their stock. And the gentleman that we were working with there, it was kind of his baby. He was kind of the R&D guy of the Z1. And so he's like, man, I got to see one. But they wanted to test it. You know, they wanted to see, like, well, you guys, you're gluing the stock in, but anyway, we sent one to be destroyed. You know, we're like, okay, brand new, ready to rock. You know, and they're like, well, it may not come back in one piece. And we're like, no, we're cool with that. Let's see what happens. And you know, a couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks by, and they called us up, and I was like, well, what's the story? You know, like, where are we at with this? And the guys were like, dude, we did some stuff to it. And I mean, that thing's bar. You know, it looks bulletproof. They actually didn't end up destroying it, but you know, it was one of those things where they're like, no, dude, it looks solid. And because we were, you know, we hadn't really, other than shooting it, and we had shot it. You know, we've been shooting this for about 1.5 years now. You know, original Z1s that we cut up, and I mean, PRS. I mean, beating on them and running them hard and bolting multiple actions into them. And you know, in our respect, you know, and making improvements, but they were solid. The fact that they thought they were solid, I mean, we were happy about that. We were tickled. But that really, actually, that whole program was, you know, something that Jason dreamed up, and it was like, you know, it was like, dude, let's just put that. You know, we haven't done a whole lot with it. You know, I think it's a pretty cool stock. We shoot them every day, and you know, we haven't done a lot. I mean, SHOT Show was kind of one of the first places a lot of people had seen those. You know, and thought they're, you know, they're like, oh, these are cool. And, you know, they're different, right? You know, we're like, I don't know if people are going to like them or not like them. You know, we're taking a mini chassis, you know, that we build a chassis setup. We, you know, you can use your own bottom metal. The fore ends, you know, we have some law enforcement agencies using them. We have competition guys using them, and feedback's been good. But, you know, past that, we haven't done a whole lot with that stock. But it was something that, you know, it went from paper to production in a very small period of time. And it was just something you know, I want to say Jason had to get out of his brain, but that was something he had to get out of his brain. And bam, that's the Z1 of what you see today. So they're cool. They're neat. They're different. You know, like I said, the feedback's been great, you know, but we just haven't done much with them yet. But we'd like to.
That is awesome. When I walked up and saw it, I was like, that is definitely different, but it really does look like you took the best of both worlds. I would definitely call myself a chassis guy. Pretty much all of my, well, not pretty much, all of my precision rifles are in chassis. But that doesn't mean I don't like a stock. That just means I have chassis and they have guns in them.
Right.
And I really, you know, I love the modularity on the front of it, but you know, people are like, oh, you don't have your quick change wheels on your butt stock? Like, no, I don't like quick adjusts. I'd rather spend my time, get it adjusted, lock everything down good and tight, and it never move again.
Right. Well, one thing you will see that's coming, we are building the Z1, or, you know, our universal, our hybrid stock into to fit 375. So we have two 375 Shytex built on KDEX actions. They are going to, you know, Jason's already built up the prototype, built it in a 3D model or 3D mold for the actions, but we are going to basically put that action in the stock that you were holding at SHOT Show. So it'll be a bigger block. Obviously, the fore end will be bigger and it'll be kicked out farther, but that will fit a KDEX shadow action, and so they'll be cool. We said, well, what better stock to use than our own? So, you know, we can do it, it'll fit. So let's try that. So those are coming. You know, they may be only 2 ever produced, but they'll be cool. So
that makes me happy. That's something I want to play with.
Right. I mean, 375 just makes me smile just thinking about it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right.
I got 2 lives back to the trimmer that I totally missed back there. One of them I know we kind of touched on, but somebody asked if you have any sort of a release date for the cutter head that will turn next.
I don't. You know, we're hoping by the end of the summer. That's kind of what so right now we have built the cutter bodies. We offer 8 calibers, 223 up to 338. We have a 17 and a 20 cal cutter body built. We just haven't built the pilots yet. And so we are working on that. We are focused on expanding the current trimmer and the calibers that we talked about earlier. That's going to require a different body up to the 375. And that's what we're focused on right now, as well as a line of pistol calibers, 9mm, 41, 44, different. So a whole line of pistol stuff coming, and that's kind of what we're focused on. After that, we will start to look into the outside neck training option. And so I hate to promise, I hate to say that, because I know guys are like, you guys have been talking about it. I had a great conversation with F-Class John, and he said, asked, he goes, well, what else can you guys do with this thing? And I said, well, something we're thinking about, again, these caliber options, but we're also thinking about outside neck training. And so he had mentioned that on his video, and it was like the number one question I got for the whole week, like, dude, where's the outside neck training? When's that coming? And I was like, oh, it's hard to, I don't want to commit to it until we build one. It's got to be bitching. And so we've got to build one and make sure it's to our, and then produce it. But we're looking at the end of summer. We have, we've committed to that. I'm hoping, if nothing else comes out. So that's our focus right now.
And you guys are also just like trying to hit production too, because I know that right now you guys have a ton of orders and big backlog and all that good stuff. Another live about the cutter heads. Are they adjustable for less or more chamfer depending on what bullet someone's shooting, or are they pre-angled?
So the chamfer angle is the same. The chamfer angle doesn't change. The amount of chamfer can be changed. So we set them for a SAMI spec case, and that is on a SAMI spec die. I use a lot of Hornady brass because that's kind of right in the middle of neck wall thickness. It seems to work for most people, whether you're running on the thin side or on the thicker side. But we adjust those for a SAMI spec case. We know that guys are adjusting on their own, and we're happy to walk guys through that adjustment. Sometimes guys aren't able to get them back where they want them, and they're more than welcome to send them back to us for adjustment. But the amount of chamfer can change. So if a guy wants more ID or OD chamfer, that can be done. But it is something that, but the angle is the same. Now, on that note, we have guys, I adjust cutter heads for guys on a one-off all the time. So if you have something specific where, you're turning necks, or have a turn neck reamer or something, that's different than what we provide, or you're necking down or necking up, and, our setting isn't quite to your liking. I'm happy, send me your brass, send me the cutter heads back, or if you haven't bought the cutter head in that caliber, send me your brass and I will build a cutter head to that particular brass. That's something we can do. So we or I can walk you through it. It's not, that on the cutter adjustment, I don't want to scare anybody. It's not rocket science, but it's not easy either. I always say, like, because we have guys going, hey, can I buy one cutter head and multiple pilots? And it's like, well, we don't sell them that way. You could theoretically do that, but you wouldn't want to. Once you get it set, you want to leave it where it's at. But like I said, we're happy to help guys make that, if needed.
So, Todd, what do you think the future of precision reloading looks like? Is it going to become more automated, or do you think it's going to continue to be more of a manual process, or do you think it's going to become automated?
I think there's two worlds out there. I think there are the guys that are the mechanical side, where I think Jason and I are kind of it, and you have the guys out there that are on the automation side. And when I say automation, I say more technical, Bluetooth, using we look at like the amp press, you look at the auto tricklers, you look at a Mark 7 for, the whole assembly. You look at, stuff for the Dylan, I think there's two sides there. We have a buddy of ours that he is a newer shooter, newer reloader. He is, I joke because it looks like, he looks like Forrest or Sinclair threw up in his reloading room. He's got everything that you could possibly think of on the map that he bought. And he is big on the automation side. He's the guy that wants to Bluetooth or, use the app when he's running his auto trickler, or I always joke when he's running his lab radar, right? So I think you got two, I wouldn't even know how to use the Bluetooth on my lap, over my phone. I'm the guy pushing the buttons, he can't push the buttons. He wants to use his phone. So I think you got two camps there. I think that side will continue to grow as the technology grows, especially when you start looking at things like the Mark 7. You look at the amp press and the Ingenuity that's built into those. So I think for guys that want that, it's definitely going to grow and be there. But I think there's lots of guys out there that want the mechanical side too. And so
they should name one the boomer and one the millennial.
there you go. That would probably be correct, right? That would probably be correct.
I mean, it'd probably so.
Yeah.
I'm kind of towards the boomer.
Yeah. Yeah, the boomer. Right. That would be, is that us? Right? That's us, right? The boomer.
I'm not quite a boomer, but
That's a boomer.
I don't want all that technology. Just show me how to do it. I don't want to have to
Right.
anything.
Right.
I don't know. I could see you being one of those people that when someone says, oh, this is Siri controlled, you just say, hey Siri, load me 300 rounds of Gay Tiger, and you come home and it's already boxed up.
Right. Rotary box up, right? Neil, the whole bit, ready to rock.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's called ordering factory.
Could be.
Yeah. But can you order factory to your own specs?
I think that's the only easy button. There is no easy button for reloading. It's just painful.
Well, I mean, there is for pistol. There's just so much things, and going back to Todd's words on how to assemble their trimmer, like there's lots of things that you could quantify and you could put numbers around, but like there's no button and no sensor, and like that's what I do for a living is sensors and automation and PLC controls and this and that and the other thing, but there is no sensor that I can find. I mean, I got catalogs this thick that is a how did the bullet feel going in sensor.
Right. Absolutely.
I could use a linear transducer and come up with the a gateway range of forces, and if it's in between this and this, it's good. If it's outside of that, it's bad. But what if it's like at the bottom of that range, then at the top of the range, then the middle of the range, then the top of the range, all throughout that? Like, you feel something's going to go wrong there, but like there is not a how did the bullet feel going in sensor.
Right. But we all know it feels different, right? I mean, yeah. Well, I guess a sensor, I guess there was the amp has kind of a sensor, right? I mean, the new amp press, they do a pretty good job, I guess, on that setup, at least from the graph side, but that's way too high tech for me.
Yeah, yeah, that's like above my level of thought there, that amp press, but that thing is sweet. I kind of want one.
Yeah, I want one just because it's cool. I mean, they're just neat. I was like, again, but I would have to call probably you to help me work it.
That works. I mean, I helped you fix your webcam earlier today.
You did. That was a sticker, wasn't it? Funny enough. He was like, man, do you have your hand in front of the camera? Like, it's not working. I'm like, oh, does this sticker mean something? My bad.
You might be more of a boomer than me, and that's saying something.
That is a first in TSM history of
what, somebody being more of a boomer than me?
No, just having to instruct somebody to remove the sticker from in front of their camera before it would work.
Yeah, you did get a pretty good laugh out of that, if I remember right.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah,
that was.
Like, seriously, man, really? The sticker? That's what stopped the whole, oh my God, that sticker. I got it. My bad.
That's so something I would do. I don't feel bad for you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the same exact way. It's terrible. So what's 2022 going to hold for you, Todd? For both Henderson Precision and for you, like, are you shooting any matches? What you got going?
On the match side, we have taken a step back. We're looking to do things more local. Our local PRS side. So Jason and I, we host a match at our local club, up here at Red Bluff. We've got, in fact, a match coming this weekend. And, but there are multiple, Sacramento, there's Reno, there is Avenal. And so we're looking at doing a local club series. And so, guys can drive 4 or 5 hours and you can shoot multiple matches around the area. We have kind of gone back to our roots. We started shooting more pistol. We were shooting 3-gun. We broke out and shoot a 3-gun. I was just hoping not to get DQ'd. But it was like the shotgun thing. Anyway, it was fun, and it was like, man, why do we stop doing this? I'm shooting a little PCC, but, so that's where we're just trying to keep it local. So, we kind of miss that stuff. And I think the long range is still our love and our passion, but kind of our roots for the pistol and the 3-gun side. But to Henderson Precision, we are in the middle of expansion. And I think one of the biggest customer feedbacks obviously is, hey, why is it taking so long to get my trimmer? And so we've heard that, and we are working on that now. We are moving into a new, bigger shop literally as we speak. We've been working on it for the last month, and we have bought new machinery, both last year and coming this year, to improve our process, to improve our speed. And so that is our big, that's probably the biggest thing that Henderson Precision is doing right now is expansion, bringing on employees, and really just growing the business. So we are looking to go retail. So both here in the US and abroad. That's something that we're working on that's coming up here very soon. But really, the shop was our first step in order to do that. We needed more space. And that's a good problem to have, I guess. But we feel like where we're at right now, where we're going is going to be great. And we're pretty excited about it. I guess I'm excited about, I get excited about the machinery. Jason gets excited about the machinery. I get excited about bringing people on and having some team members, employees running around. I'm looking forward to it. That's the biggest thing for 2022. And that is literally happening right now, as we speak.
That is awesome. And it looks like you're hitting that right at the right time, because, I see, pictures on Facebook of, just an endless sea of red parts that just came back from anodizing. And then I see, current lead times, and I'm like, they're making that many at a time. And that's good. That means your sales volumes are outgrowing your production volumes, and you guys are scaling up right at the right time. So
we were trying, we're trying to, and really, we get it from the customer side. I mean, we don't want guys waiting. Right now we're running 9 to 10 weeks. We're trying to beat those times, but that is a culmination of ANO and coding and really getting materials. Sometimes just getting materials. So we've created a little bit of a buffer in there, but we like to get down to where, hey, it's in stock and you just order it off the website. That's our goal. So that's what we're gunning after, and that's we're trying to, like I said, with the machinery and the process and the space, we're hoping to get there. So that's what literally, so I'll probably be shooting less matches overall than I shot last year, but but that's big. That's what Henderson doing for 2022.
That sounds like awesome goals for the year and right on time. The good news is right now is the time that 9 to 10 week lead times are just like average for anything nowadays. Right. I've been waiting since October I ordered 10 computer monitors at work, touchscreen computer monitor. March 15th is my ETA on them.
Wow.
Well, part of it is all the shipping issues. And
trucking issues coming out of Canada now.
Although I did see somebody had posted, I can't remember what company it was. Somebody had put out a new gun that they had a limited run, and they had this many guns. And so this person ordered the gun and ordered 2-day shipping. And then they, like a week later, got a note or something saying that the production, it was going to be 60 days.
I saw that exact post as well.
I can't remember who it was. Dude, they blasted that company. I was like, don't promise things you can't do.
Exactly. And, if you go to y'all's website, I'm pretty sure it says it like right up on there, like you'll get this and this long. Like, okay. Yeah, right there. Lead time.
Yeah, as long as you're accurate, it's like the old, when I used to work in restaurants, you always quote longer than you think it's going to be. And then they're happy instead of being mad that you promised and didn't deliver. So
that's what I do with projects at work all the time. Like, yeah, we can get this done in about 3 months, month and a half later.
Right.
So I worked a lot of overtime. I busted my butt. We got this done. Really, I thought it was only going to take a month to do.
It's a good problem to have, though. That's awesome that y'all are having to figure out ways to amp it up to keep up. Means business is good.
It is. It's been fun. That is. It's been a learn. I come from the restaurant world, so I spent over 30 years in restaurant business. So the machining side and the supply side, and I'm used to. I am used to working with vendors and stuff, but with everything that's going on, it's a whole nother world now. At some point you're thinking, like, well, why can't I get aluminum? Like aluminum, like seriously, like, yeah, we're out 3 or 4 weeks on that, or stainless steel rod, or we've been buying things on much larger quantities, to keep us going than, you ever thought we had to. It's kind of it's turned into the primer world, right? It's like, when you find primers, you buy all the primers, you're like, you don't know when you're going to get them again. But it's been, it's been interesting. But I think there's a lot of people out there. I think everybody's trying to do a good job with it. I mean, I think the vendors that we work with, everybody understands, and everybody's trying to do what they can with what they have. So, whether it's Forrester that we work with to get parts, whether it's McMillan, I mean, it really does, I see, people are doing more with less, I guess the best way to put it. So that's awesome.
I definitely think. Yeah. It's been a very interesting year with the supply chain in all industries.
Mm-hmm.
Most definitely. But are there any more lives, Craig?
Mike Bell chimed in and said, yes, 60, 61, and 303 stainless are an absolute pain to get. It used to be next day, and now he's waiting 2 or 3 weeks.
Right.
Everything's been a longer lead time.
Yeah, I mean, it goes just from the trucking, like you're saying. I mean, you would think, you're like, hey, yeah, we got the product, but we won't be able to truck this for 2 weeks, and you're like, well, we can't find drivers, or, we can't. And so a lot of factors, and the industry itself is what we do specifically. I mean, when it comes to coating, our anodizer, I got to say, I shout out to my anodizer because it's a local guy. I say local, he's an hour and a half away. They pick up twice a week. They deliver twice a week. But, so you get used to that, and they do. And these guys, I mean, I call them up and say, man, I got to have this. And, and they knock it out for us. But, some weeks it just doesn't happen. They're getting overloaded. We use titanium nitride on some of our parts. And those guys, they knock it out of the park most of the time. But again, they just get, again, whether it's people, whether it's process, it's been interesting for sure.
Yeah, it's a new world. That's all I can say about it. It's a new world.
Yeah. My old boss, what was it, a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago, one day he comes up, so he's like, yeah, so I put in my 2 weeks notice. I've purchased 5 26-foot box trucks and a new $600,000 house. I'm like, dude, what? I texted him a couple weeks ago. I'm like, so are you a millionaire yet? He's like, dangerously close. He picked the right time to get into that business.
Does he have drivers though?
He does. One of them's his brother, but he's keeping all 5 of those trucks on the road 24/7.
Good for him.
The funniest part is when I think it was at AG Cup, he texted me. He's like, we finally did it. And he sent a picture of one of his trucks pulling into the plant. So he's now delivering for us as well.
Cool.
Works good. All right, so we're good on lives?
We are good on lives.
I think we can wind it down to shout outs then.
All
Greg
right.
usually start us.
Yep. I also usually have my gun back here so I can do that thing where I point my fingers. But normally here, you would see my beautiful GSL suppressor. I love it, especially on my rimfire. I got the 6.5 can too, but it's nice and quiet on the rimfire. Shooters and sharpshooters of Augusta, our local indoor and outdoor ranges here in Augusta. PDC Custom, if you are a chassis guy, they are the most, or girl, they are the most beautiful chassis known to man. Shooters World Powder, I've been able through Shooters of Augusta to get all the powder I needed through all of this. It was nowhere near as bad as dealing with powder or primers and bullets. Hunter's HD Gold, there's something I could point at. I'm blind as a bat, but that's like that HDR filter for Instagram, but for your eyes, so you can see really good. Fix-It sticks, as we've talked about. I'm an engineer. I love fixing things. I love taking things apart. I love putting them back together. So I just carry my Fix-It sticks with me everywhere. And Vortec, because you're actually supposed to clean this stuff sometimes.
Occasionally.
How
about you, Todd? You got any shout outs?
Shout outs. I don't, honestly. Shout out. I don't.
That's okay. You don't have to. I don't really either. I'm keeping it simple, stupid this year. So I don't really have a lot of shout outs either. So, but I do want to shout you out for coming on the show and spending like 2 hours of your Tuesday night with us to share some of your goodies and let us see the trimmer. I really, really like that trimmer, and I do think that everybody should check it out. And I do think that playing with it is huge, being able to put your hands on it and see how easy it is.
Oh yeah.
Because it is just so easy to trim on. I mean, I was like, oh, I might not hate this. Like, I'm not a fan of brass prep anyway. It's kind of like I'm ready to just dump some powder in and put a bullet in it. But yeah, it really is pretty simple and pretty easy. So I think everybody needs to check it out. The video is on the Facebook page where we did the video at SHOT Show, and you can see it a little bit there. So definitely check it out. Or if you know anybody that has one, go over there and bug them and play with it, because I really think it's a game changer. It's so easy to use. So
awesome.
Huge.
Awesome. We appreciate
huge,
that.
No, you're welcome. So huge shout out to you. If somebody wants to get your stuff, I know we probably said this earlier, but what's the website? Where can they buy your stuff?
So right now, everything comes from us. We do, on the trimmer side, would be hendersonprecision.com. We do have a few vendors out there. Short Action Precision carries our rails and our clamps and some of our other products. But all the trimmers right now currently are coming from us. That will soon be changing. So there'll be a few vendors out there, both here in the U.S. that will be look to carry our products. So we're going down that road. But I encourage, guys, again, if guys have questions out there, either shoot me an email. I will respond. They're always more than welcome to call me. If they have questions about the unit, I'm always happy to answer those. So,
even if you call him at 5:30 a.m., he'll answer the phone.
I not always, but almost always. So, so I don't want to throw that out there because I'll get in trouble. But yeah, I mean, like I said, just give me a call. I answer the phone all the time. So if somebody's got a question, if they're hinging on it. I mean, I get a lot of like, well, what do you think about that? Or should I buy? Why is yours different? Or whatever. Always happy to answer this. So, we'll help you out if we can.
That's good. All right. Well, check out Henderson Precision. Check out their trimmers and their hybrid chassis stock. Stassy or chalk. I don't know which.
Chassis or chalk.
I think Stassy is better. But anyway, check them out at Henderson Precision. And with that, it'll be a wrap for episode 366 of the Shooter's Mindset.
Thanks, guys.